This is my story. I'm now 28 years old with two beautiful kiddies and a partner, but things haven't always been this good for me. I'm from Exmouth, Devon in the UK. Growing up, I was super shy and really skinny. I was way too scared to talk to someone of the opposite sex, and I got super nervous meeting anybody for the first time. Despite this, during childhood, I was pretty sporty and I took to football, but I remember absolutely hating going to new teams or new training sessions for the first time. But I always enjoyed it once I was playing, but the shyness was pretty crippling. Ultimately, as a kid, I had super low confidence and I just hated being skinny. Now, I wasn't bullied for it and it's not a sob story like that, but I would take any comments to do with being skinny to heart. I just didn't think it was attractive or a good thing to be like. I stayed skinny for a long time, pretty much all through secondary school. Now, I went to a big school, which meant I could kind of hide at the back of the class, I could shy out of things, and I could pick smaller social circles, but that didn't really help with my confidence or my self-image. It was fairly easy for me to stay playing football because I was average or above average most of the time, but gradually I lost interest in it, lacking in confidence, and finding another escape in the form of gaming. Gaming was quite literally a new world. I started playing a game called Warcraft, and I would play this for hours on end. You could literally create a character in the online world, play with many people online, and be protected by any judgment being behind the computer screen. At the same time, a lot of my RL friends started playing the same game and started playing other games on the Xbox like Halo 3. IRL, for any of you muggles out there, stands for in real life. But I spent more time in the virtual world than I did in the real one. I wasn't fussed about food or doing much else other than playing computer games. Anything else was just a bit of an inconvenience. And eventually I stopped playing football altogether, and that was the end of any sort of physical pursuit for me. But then comes the point to go college, and around this point I also started a part-time job on the weekends, and I started to remember there was an outside world out there. You can only hide for so long, and eventually you have to grow up. Now, being emaciated, shy, and having little social contact, I started to realize at some point something was gonna have to change. And believe it or not, in these photos with my family and the mop that I've got, I actually started lifting some weights. We had some of those old vinyl weights at home, and my dad showed me a few exercises with them, and I did some research online. But I literally just did the mirror muscles. I had no idea about muscles in the back. I didn't care at all about what my legs looked like. I just wanted to work my weedy little arms. Because that's the part everybody could see all year round, and that's the part that you would get comments on if you were a guy in school. Arm wrestles, kids just joking about. If you had weedy arms, that would be what's pointed out. Not necessarily bullying, but that's just how kids were and how growing up was. I was fortunate enough to have really encouraging parents, and they would make sure that I would pass things, but also choose things that I'm passionate about in school. So I managed to do okay despite being dyslexic, really struggling with reading and writing, but also putting in the lowest amount of effort possible because I was just massively involved in computer games and I didn't care about much else. But I chose to do sport and media at college. The only things that I had some passion for, obviously sport, having played football in the past, and media, kind of leaning towards that gaming a little bit. Those were the options that I chose, and that seemed best suited at the time. But seeing other sporty kids around me and having body images all over social media, I didn't want to be the person that was afraid to take his top off, or be the guy in the group that was weaker than all the girls and just considered as weedy during college. As I grew though, I became taller and I became more lanky. I wasn't massively tall, but because I was thin, it didn't exactly do me any favors. So at about 16, I started going to the gym and doing this consistently, which to be honest, was nothing short of life-changing for me. I started seeing some results. I wish I had some better photos and some videos of my dreadful training routine back then, but you can see much of the journey. And even though it wasn't right all the time, just for doing something felt nothing short of absolutely amazing. I just felt like I could take control of my situation, and even though I wasn't seeing massive changes, They did feel pretty big at the time, and it showed me things were possible and I was much more capable than I previously thought I was. And it kind of made me feel unstoppable in some ways. Now at this time I was doing the classic 4-day split, the bro split, chest and triceps on Monday, back and biceps Tuesday, shoulders and abs on Thursday, and legs on Friday. If I was going to miss one, it would probably be the Friday session. Whilst I started to lift at college, I also started enjoying more of the college life in terms of food and drink, and I guess my growth spurt kind of stopped a little bit. So I turned into what I would call fat skinny. I was skinny where you would want to be bulky, like the arms, but fat in places where you didn't want to be bulky, like around the waist. And apparently it was around this time that I turned into the Hulk for some reason, but thankfully I got a haircut. I did put on though a considerable amount of size, probably gaining around 10 kilos. I felt much more confident, but still nowhere near where I wanted to be. Then we have university. Since I'd been hitting the gym a lot, not that you could tell, and I'd previously liked football quite a lot, my biggest interest was in fitness. And the closest thing to this was to do sports science. And here I thought I could get all the cutting information that I needed to get absolutely massive. So all aboard the game train. Just before uni, I was training pretty consistently, and I continued with that. I started doing a variety of different weight training programs and got pretty good at designing my own. And I really enjoyed doing that. And it was to the point that some of my flatmates and course mates would do a lot of my training programs that I created myself. Now I look back on it and some of the things weren't perfect, but it was all a learning curve, and I was feeling significantly better about myself. Now, as you might be able to see, I did actually gain a little bit more muscle, and I did gain a lot more knowledge and information around fitness whilst at university, but I also had to deal with that university lifestyle. And the fact of it was that I absolutely loved pizza, so I was living off pizza and we were having £1 pints all the time, and I continued my gaming career, which didn't exactly do the trick for my shape and my physique. But I still loved hitting the gym, so I slowly made some gains in the muscle, but also the fat department. And although I wanted to be Arnie at this time too, I also learned that most people you see in magazines or advertising in the fitness industry are on drugs. Yeah, buddy. Now that kind of sucks when you're finding that out for the first time. The people that you look up to, your idols, and the people that are plastered everywhere, you find out that they're on drugs and it's not attainable to do naturally. And in terms of confidence, I definitely gained a huge amount of it at uni, but I wouldn't have said I was confident at the time. Still pretty shy to meet new people, and Tinder was definitely much easier than talking to girls in the club. Fortunately, I came out of university in alright shape. I gained a load more skills, and this might have been around the tipping point for me. I came out of uni and went to work in a gym. There was no more university lifestyle, and I just did what I enjoyed most and what made me feel best, which was lifting weights. It was also great to be in an environment where everyone is trying to better themselves. So I carried on lifting and applying myself, trying to help other people and working with sports teams as a strength and conditioning coach. But I decided I wanted to learn some more. So I did a master's in sport and health sciences, and I probably learned the most that I'd ever learned in a single year. And I continued to take my training pretty seriously at the time, but I also wanted new challenges. Now I graduated, and since then I've continued on the path of fitness, doing some CrossFit, doing some general lifting, then moving into adding more cardio into my training, doing some triathlon, just trying to be all around a bit fitter and a bit healthier now for not just me, but my family as well. From here, I set up my own personal training gym because it was my passion to help others achieve their fitness goals and go from feeling rubbish about themselves to significantly more confident and happy. So here's what I'm looking like in more recent times, and then we'll end this one on what I'm looking like right now. But I can't tell you how life-changing it's been for me. Despite being imperfect, just taking action has changed absolutely everything for me, and it showed me that there's so many things out there that I am actually capable of, and that's massively improved my confidence and just how I feel about myself. And I want to leave you with some final thoughts. As much as this is displayed as a physical transformation, any shift like this is much greater than that. It might have started out from vanity and hating certain things about myself, but it's developed into really valuing my health and being able to support others around me, and feeling strong and feeling confident and capable for whatever life throws at you. So I'll encourage you now, if you hate something about yourself or you want to be more confident, pick up the dumbbell, put on some running shoes, reach out to someone that's been there before, start to take things seriously and prioritize it in your life, strive for progress, it's worth it, and enjoy every single step forwards. There's ups and downs, and it won't happen overnight, but it doesn't need to, because time passes by anyway. So every step you take forwards is pushing you in the right direction, and eventually you'll look back on it and you'll realize you've changed massive amounts for the better. If you like this video and want to see more of my fitness journey, then subscribe to the channel and do me a huge favor and like this video if you can relate to any of it, and I'll see you in the next one.